Gallery visitors to the Clay and Glass in Waterloo are treated to the delights of reflective natures and transparent landscapes. Curator Christian Bernard Singer.
The idea for the show was to look at how artists who work in the land or artists who bring the land into the gallery work.
Among the featured artists, Catherine Paleczny.
The big one on the wall, it's called Wei Shan, or tailpiece. There's two different types of porcelain that I utilized for that. The piece was first conceived in China, Jingdezhen, at the residency that I partook in 2007. And the porcelain there is quite exquisite. It's much whiter than ours, very translucent. The luminosity is just so vibrant. And basically in all my artwork, I really like looking at things in nature, things that I feel people no longer take the time to look at. So, you know, a tail of a fish, or the under feathers of a bird, or something like that.
André Fournelle.
Yeah, but the space, that circular room was perfect for the installation because it was a spiral, and a spiral for me it's a kinetic movement, but it's a symbol of times, so that's very important. This piece was made about 20 years ago in the desert in Death Valley in California. So it was at that time a tribute to Robert Smithson, who have made the spiral jetty at the Salt Lake City.
Jennifer Bueno.
Well, I have 3 wall pieces that depict images from satellites that are taken from satellites. The first piece was the piece on the far end with the blue flat orb shapes. That's titled Great Barrier Reef, and so that was taken from a satellite image of the Great Barrier Reef. And what I basically did was, looking at the satellite image, I just sort of traced circles, a series of circles starting at the coast and working way out to where the reef is, and then painted them on the back of the thick glass. The second piece, as you enter the gallery, is the series of pink orbs. They're very bright, and they're what's referred to as a false color image. So it's not as if the satellite is just taking a straight photograph of the object. It's really, what it's doing is catching a different piece of the spectrum. And in that case, it's a glacier in Patagonia. The third wall piece has the bright green orbs. There's 3 of them, and those 3 are the 3 different receding flood stages of the Mississippi River. There was a huge flood this past spring, and above that are sort of a wire tributary going into those pieces with little diatoms made out of ceramics.
Alfred Engerer.
I have this one piece over here that's called the Schillerville reactor, and it's about basically the process of the Earth and how the Earth is part of the process itself. I've constructed this piece that has these castings that are meant to emulate hills in mining territory down in the states south of here. And so that's an integral element of that, is the recognition of the hill as part of the machine that makes product. This is like a building, this piece, that's meant to process material into something else. And in that case, it looks like glass, and that's what it's made of, but it could be anything. It's like coming through an assembly line, and so there's the hills, the processing center, and the product.
Claire Brunet.
Starting from molds of imprint of bark and the dead leaves on the soil and rock surfaces, I built large wax panels, and those panels were imprinted into a plaster bed in a glass kiln, and the glass was slumped on it. So the result was bark or leaves or rock texture on glass, and I built that wall. So today I'm presenting a section of the project which is suspended.
Benjamin Kikkert.
I went to Newfoundland, and I traveled through the province, and much of the work I've got here was developed in response to that experience. Some materials I brought back from there, and I was really working with the idea of creating a new object that alludes to a history. a past experience that weathering and shared materials somehow a function has been lost or things have progressed, and so that this relic, although it may be worn and in some cases even broken, perhaps that experience has given this object now an incredible value that perhaps surpasses its initial function.
Reflective natures and transparent landscapes at the Clay and Glass through October 2nd.